Yeah, you know, Alex, somebody's actually going to take us up on that and actually kind of film us
At a
going into a
church?
church. Yeah,
No.
and see what happens.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna vomit.
Vomit, yes, vomit, and then explode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Human combustion. I just wanted to start off with saying that sadly we lost one of who was in the live chats all the time. Who had been a regular here, and I've conversed with him. He's been on the show a couple times. During just open discussions and stuff like that. Steve Yamick, very very sad news to hear about that. And yeah, anyways, I just wanted to give you know a little bit of a kind of a tribute to him, and you know put that out there because yeah, it's he'll be missed. It's too bad, and I don't know if I know Matt. You know Steven, right? Yeah, you kind of know him as well.
Well, I knew him through the shows. I believe he's been on a couple of times, and he's emailed me. I didn't know him very well,
Yeah,
but yeah, he's no longer with us. So condolences to everyone who knew him and his family. So
absolutely. Yeah, condolences to his family. It's just,
Sorry to hear that. This is the first time hearing about this.
yeah, it was kind of a shocker, really. Like I it kind of felt weird because I hadn't seen him around for a while, and but was what was really really weird. What I kind of mentioned to Alex that I gave out when we started the monetization and the memberships and stuff like that. I put out like what is it, five memberships you can gift people or whatever,
Mhm.
and it turned out it gifted him, and it was kind of odd, I
Huh.
suppose, because apparently he'd passed away on the March 2nd, I think it was. So they've kept it hush hush, and yeah, kind of mysterious circumstances. And it's really really too bad. But rest in peace, Stephen. So, moving on, we definitely have. Well, I mean, this series has been pretty intriguing, really, really good conversation, and we've got the usual lot with us. Justin Del Rio, Mister Justin Del Rio. How are you, sir?
Evening, everyone.
And then, of course, our good friend Matt of the Secret Vault. I'm sure he needs no introduction. Everybody knows Matt. And then James Friday House, how are you?
Doing good.
And Mad Mark from Haunted the Truth. Thanks for coming back, guys. Really appreciate it. And, I know a lot of people have been asking to have you guys back on for this, so why not? Let's do it. Where do we start? Is there something that you guys want to kind of like continue with or kind of bring up and sort of discuss?
well, what is the nature of reality?
Yeah, what is the nature of reality? What is it? Is
The
it
nature of what is reality. How do you
Yeah,
know
what
the
is-
nature of something if you can't define what that something is?
what is reality? What is it? What are your thoughts? What
And then there's reality, which, right, this is really interesting, actually. It's something I was thinking about earlier. So reality is only as far as what we can see. But then anything beyond that, is that also reality, or is that an extension of reality? So,
Oh,
like
Yeah.
even how some birds can see different things to what we can. For
yeah.
example, our reality is made up of what goes on within our heads. So is that
What we
reality?
experience.
Yeah. Or is it subjective reality?
Subjective, yeah. Could be.
Well, that's kind of like if you. This is something I was trying to explain to somebody about their mindset. What you believe dictates how your life goes. Like if you were to believe your entire life that you lived in Tahiti It didn't matter where your physical body is. Your mind was in Tahiti, so you lived your life. Your experiences were in Tahiti, no matter where you were physically. So is that reality, or is where your body was reality?
Is there no movies on this where somebody was like insane and it turned out they were in an asylum and everything that they were thinking about was not in the asylum and they thought they were somewhere else?
Shutter Island? No.
Shutter.
No.
It was also the premise of Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
then, like, there's other things like when you put your hand down on the thingy, if you get like a fake arm and someone brushes it with the brush and they brush your actual finger and then they hit the fake arm with a hammer, you almost feel the pain. So it's like it's really hard to know what's real.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought. Basically, is that are we actually experience this as in kind of like which we kind of touched base before, was kind of projecting it, but a lot of theories kind of, and I forget the name of it, and I'll try to find it. But basically, are we just taking in the information, that's presented to us, and the brain is like the filter. Then it's processing this information, which is kind of what we know already, and I think we touched a little bit on it before. It's like, at least for me, I don't totally believe that memories are here. I think we're pulling those things from somewhere, and the organic mechanical ways the brain works is like how we will be pulling, like a generator pulling the electrons for the electricity. So instead of pulling electricity with copper windings and such, we're using the neural networks of our brain to pull that information from of course, my theory, what I pulling information from whatever this is, the ether, the subconscious, wherever that exists, or even if it's within the subatomic world, which is most likely where this stuff is hidden, is within our subatomic world. But there are large theories that mostly say this is what's, we're saying this, and the information's getting processed through our eyes, through the eyes. I think actually the information goes through, and the brain is what actually puts that information. So we're not even seeing, if I remember correctly, we're not even seeing. The brain is taking whatever light and distortion that we're seeing, and then it fills in that picture. So, reality can be deceiving in that sense, and that's why things are very questionable or skeptical when you're looking at specifically even like paranormal or spiritual experiences. That actually, that kind of, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's Alex, there's a question there. That's actually really,
it's not really a question, but
not really a question, but it's interesting.
Yeah. A bit in the weeds here, but are you guys familiar with the Dylan Borland testimony in Congress a few months ago? Why do the triangles create electrostatic environments?
I have to look that one up.
Triangles, as in the shape.
I think probably means UFOs.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of UFOs over the years have interfered with vehicles, and sort of power grids have gone down when UFOs have been seen.
If they're using ionic drive, then there you go.
Some people are arguing that the UFOs and aliens are each and the same as the paranormal. They're linked, directly linked. That it's not actually aliens at all. There's a direct link between the two. It's on Amazon Prime. It's basically talks about the paranormal and aliens and UFOs. So that's something that I would recommend looking into, which dives more into that. Sort of
well, it could be like Arthur C. Clarke said, and the more technologically advanced society becomes, the more it will appear like magic.
Even right now, magic computers are, believe it or not, computers are kind of magical. Just what they're capable of, and they're even further magical now, as we mentioned in the last episode about quantum computing. That's almost like ununderstandable to the common person. I mean, we can't even totally comprehend how that works, but still, that's pretty magical in a sense on how all of that works. Besides, reality coming together through its covalent bonds and electromagnetic bonds and everything. But no, technology in itself is pretty magical, and it's almost a stream of, just like we're presenting a picture here, which people can say that the TV or this screen here is like a scrying. It's literally a digital scrying mirror in a sense. Uh, so you remove all the woohoo about it, and here we are. We're able to access all this information, add AI into that, and now we literally have endless pool of data and possibilities that we can use to manipulate a lot of things. You know, um, Magic in itself is kind of technical, even on a subconscious level. There's really a lot of technical aspects to it, and I think that's why, for me, when I'm looking at certain things, again, it's possibly what's happening here, and how am I manipulating things using this, for instance, onto reality or whatever, or even if that's possible, and if that's not possible, am I just randomly? If it's not intent, is this just randomly happening then? Which I highly doubt is the case, to be honest with you. But those two questions come because some things are kind of mysterious like that. Is this really random, or is this really something that, if I can say, like pooling, I'm pooling into this. I'm aligning with these types of things is the only way I can explain it. But with technology now, it really is interesting to see the things that we're capable of doing, and then understanding even the ideas of magic or spiritual experiences in that sense. We're really pulling on that. What was it, Thor? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Thor movies, but I think it's the first one. Anthony Hopkins, who plays Odin, he was explaining to the scientists, it's like, what you see as magic is really our science, and that's eventually what all this is going to be. At some point, we're going to figure out how to manipulate matter. That will happen. 100 years from now, 1,000, I don't know. Even who knows? Maybe even 20 years from now, it's totally possible. The way what technology is shifting out now, but eventually we will manipulate matter, and eventually we will have replicators like Star Trek. I think we are able to structure. There's a couple things. I think graphene is a way that we manipulate matter in a sense, and there's like one other. Oh my god! And I think they just. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to pull it from my head, but there is research out there that we're able to do. I think it's lead. I think it's like another material of some sort that we're able to change it almost close to gold. We're almost figuring out what the alchemical secret is with technology in itself, and we're almost able to make something else into gold without having to do all the processes. And not even that. I think it's diamonds. I'm sorry. It's not gold. I think it's diamonds, if I'm correct. Someone could probably shoot that somewhere and find some correlation and find some Google searches on that. But we're able to recreate diamonds. So eventually, once we figure that out, which we do synthetically, but not at the subatomic level, we do it chemically right now, or
cubic zirconia.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's chemically, but we do it manufacturally. But at some point, we have research saying that we can create diamonds almost out of thin air by using other materials. And eventually that happens. All these ideas of space travel and such, it's going to come faster than we ever think, because diamonds is holding information. Diamonds, I want to say there's a battery that they're trying to figure out using diamonds as well, or something like that. Once we figure that out, yeah, there's not going to be no use for any other type of ways that we transfer energy at all. It'll just be imprinted on a diamond. We can send information that way. I'm going off crazy on diamonds here, so anyone cut me off, please. Because it is, you start looking at the structure of that, what we do with it, just like we're able to do. Here's a tangent. We were just talking about this recently with some friends. We can't make chips anymore. You guys understand that? We can't make computer chips anymore. We only can use modern technology to make modern computer chips to further the future of computer chips. And if that ever stops, we don't have, for whatever reason, we don't have the previous understanding on how we started computer chips, which blows my mind. Like, we can't make the computer chips of the past anymore, which is obviously archaic and not totally useful for us now. But if something happened with society, or we had to start from scratch for whatever reason, we don't have the information to do it, and we don't know how that happened. and it's totally a mystery. Look it up. It's unbelievable. Like, so we have, in order to make current, we literally need the machines and the computer chips we already have continually make computer chips, along with the resources, of course, which is partially the silica and diamonds and all sorts of other things, which is also a problem as well. But besides that, for whatever reason, if shit hits the fan, we ain't gonna have computers anymore after some point, which is blowing my mind. When I had that discussion, it just was like, how we should have this technology somewhere, and how do we not able to not retrofit it, but
Reverse engineer
it, reverse engineer it. You know, how is that not possible? But apparently, that is a problem we currently have.
Aliens as well. There you go.
I mean, well, maybe it was, yeah, that was the part of the discussion. It's like, okay, well, how did that even come into play? Because the process is so complex. Like, even the idea of the computer chip is still like we literally use it in our phones, and I'm using it right now on this thing. I just replaced a computer. I did a partial rebuild on this computer here, and it just blows my mind that everything ever happening is running through this thing, this this thin wafer. And we somehow figured that out, how to process information, rearrange all this information that we're seeing now, the internet and these visuals. And at some point, back to that, is that if something happens, we can't redo it at this point. It's just
all we need is a good Carrington event, and it's all gone.
Yeah.
You mentioned I'm going backwards.
It's okay, don't worry. I'm like zip, so it's perfectly
the mind
fine.
being able something about the mind and thoughts and stuff like that earlier. And there's 2 points to be made. One of them is what's like sort of everybody's thoughts here and in the chat about deja vu, and the other one is it at all feasible for us to we can create hauntings? Some people suggest that we can create manifestations. Some people have even done studies into like telekinesis, and I was mentioned earlier today about like how Stranger Things was based off of a real place. Where they did studies on people. So go.
It's interesting what you were saying about previous technologies not being available. I think we sort of skirted on this concept of the 100th monkey syndrome in the last chat, which is something to do with when the term 100th monkey comes from monkeys which were studied on an island that then exhibited a new behavior, and they learned a new skill, and suddenly monkeys on the mainland learned the new skill at the same time. So there was no connection. The monkeys couldn't travel off the island to get onto the mainland, but monkeys all around the world started exhibiting the same behavior at the same time. And I wonder if yes, a transference of consciousness, much in what Dr. Rupert Sheldrake talks about, the morphogenic field theory, whereby we all have this connection in the subconscious of our minds to everybody else. And we are actually communicating on a subconscious level, which is sometimes how we know when somebody's going to call, or you're thinking about somebody that you haven't spoken to for a very long time, and then they maybe call you. So there's that idea rattling around, in the sort of ether, that maybe that kind of world exists. And I tend to believe in that myself. But then you've got a little bit of what Justin was talking about with this kind of understanding of where technology is. Well, it seems like technology drifts in a direction that is kind of the subconscious of humanity affects reality in terms of physical matter as well, because scientists discovered in the lab that when you try to crystallize a new structure, that the first times you try to do it, and even publish papers, it's a kind of an acknowledged thing, I think, in science, that the first crystallizations aren't just hard because you've never done them before. It's hard because the universe doesn't know that structure. And once the universe has kind of realized the structure and everyone's kind of thinking about it, it almost helps it manifest quicker the next time. So you're not doing anything different. You're not applying different chemicals or different temperatures or different procedures. But when you go to create the crystals from then on and on, it becomes easier and easier for them to form. So it's almost like as if humanity or the universe is willing this stuff into existence, and then it becomes easier. So maybe as technologies become more distant in people's past memory, the harder it is to recreate it, because we're all living in the now. We're not living in the past. So you maybe the same is true for these things that can be created forwards. Maybe things that we don't use so much become harder to create because we're not affecting mental power on them. Perhaps they become harder to create.
Yeah, that makes sense, because why would we lose the idea of creating computer? Like, how did we even stumble upon that in the first place? To be like, oh yeah, we're going to create this thing that's going to do mathematical problems that we can't do, and then now we don't know it, And it's we were for a period of time, which is very short when you think about it. I think computer chips in itself is only like 100 years old or so, maybe just a little less, but right around.
Well, less than 100, yeah.
Yeah.
It was still donkeys going down the roads 100 years ago. Yeah,
that was the first one.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical though of them saying that we can't make any more chips, because they said that we can't go back to the moon because we lost the technology.
Yeah, that's
the technology is like quadrupled and it's doubled so many times. I don't buy that for a second.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, technology should be getting better, not the other way.
Maybe their set got destroyed, so they can't,
Yes.
use the film of the moon.
Maybe.
I think it would have made more sense if they said we've lost the drive to go to the moon, but not the technology. Yeah.
There you go.
There's no reason to go there. Although I've been seeing talking of that, I've been seeing some weird things on YouTube, and I don't know what to trust anymore online.
Yeah.
It was like they were talking to Houston, but where they were talking to themselves, and it's recordings of the astronauts talking about structures on the moon, and they're using like weird code words to describe these things, and it's almost like, are they talking about some sort of alien structures on what you would call the dark side of the moon, which isn't actually dark?
Yeah.
Let's not get into the details.
Far side.
Yeah.
Side.
And there's a lot of blurred photos. I was watching a video on YouTube about blurred photos of moon missions, where I think it was the Clementine probe or something like that. And most of the photos have not been released, and some of them have been heavily redacted and blurred. Why would you want to blur photos which were for a science mission, effectively?
Yeah.
There's something up there they don't want people seeing.
It's true. It's true. I think it's partially because the majority of the population's not ready. We're ready. I was talking with someone recently about religion, and they were like, "Well, that was something I wanted to bring up to you guys." But they were talking about how they knew someone who went through like a similar transition as me, and it kind of ruined their whole perspective. There's no God. I've been living this lie. And that didn't happen to me. Was like, oh, this world's a lie or anything. It just made things more questionable for me. But the majority of people will be like that. I do feel there's something ancient going on outside of our Earth for sure. Because if we're over millions of years, 300 and something over that, before that, then what could have happened before? I always feel like sometimes this is it's already, we see it, already, behaviors, society, things already have happened already. Yeah, we may have the TV, but we're still kind of fighting the same battles we've been fighting for God knows how long, and not even that. There are very, very few evidences of tools we found. And part of that too, people don't know, certain dating's actually outdated now. Now they're finding out, this may not be correct. This might be actually closer in time than we thought, than it was farther in time. Or certain things were farther in time than they thought they were closer in time.
Like the Big Bang, for example.
Yeah. And so it wouldn't even surprise me. One, this is probably about reality as well. We really don't know. So anything I've ever taught in school and anything I'm telling you now is only things that I've read. Yeah, some things I can experience. Most of it's anecdotal. Others are from other things, but most of the things that it's taught to us, just like religion, it all hinges on belief. Yeah. I get that this wall is hard because of physics and everything.
Didn't sound that hard to me.
It's actually not. It's partially screwed into the wall.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to let all you guys know now, the cat's out of the bag. Alex is not real. He's AI.
That's right.
It explains so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you got the first two letters, A and I, and AIEX.
That's right.
Was that the message you got on your recent birthday?
Yes.
A revelation.
I was told I was not real.
It wouldn't make sense because all I know is through a digital experience. So,
Hey, I've always told you, come on up, I'll show you.
it's gonna be the government just psyoping me the whole time. These
Yeah.
nuts. There's just a big psyop on me for all these years.
Have you tried turning him off to see if he rebels?
Turn them on and off. Reboot.
Yeah.
These alien things, you said like, oh, why would they're keeping it from people? But I don't see why it would be much of a surprise, because there's ancient texts and stuff from multiple different civilizations speaking about seeing things in the sky. Even in biblical texts, angels are mistranslated, and the actual word for them are messengers. And then there's the Book of Enoch.
Correct.
Which, take it or leave it. So I'm like, well, if you suddenly they'll turn around and go, yeah, they're real, I'll be like, well, people did say this for years. Why would it be a surprise?
Well,
mainly because we haven't seen anything like that. And
when
again,
people are seeing Jesus on toast,
yes,
that's the reason why.
Yes.
I think a lot of people have seen things. It's come to attention recently that the government are kind of saying, yes, we've got these craft that we don't know what they are and where they come from, which is a halfway admission to saying what they probably do know, which is that they have got evidence. But I mean, it's like if the government have got evidence which they've been sitting on for many years, they say 70 years now since Roswell. Is it 70 or 80 years? Just I think 1947, 47, 50, 50, yes,
about 80 years.
80 years. Yeah. So if they could sit on that sort of information for 80 years and hoodwink the populace, then you can imagine that anything is possible to kind of hide from people, really. You know, religious, spiritual truths, scientific discoveries, that can be shelved. And, I mean, there was a video on YouTube where they were saying you can create a battery by putting two metal stakes in the ground. And this information has been kind of hidden because the battery industry don't want you to know that you can generate power, not a lot of power, but enough to run certain items, just by using this technique. And I mean, so much is suppressed just to control us and make sure that we buy something from somebody. It's all about money and conditioning and control for commerce, basically.
Yeah,
that's weird that they put in money and research into fission. Is it fission power? Nuclear fission?
Cold fusion.
Yeah.
Cold fission.
Because that, if you could get that, you could literally power like the entire state for forever. So it's like, why would you be funding something that could effectively undermine every energy company going? Seems
but
weird.
They told everybody when they started making nuclear power stations that it would be almost free energy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it costs more than every other type of energy that went before it. So, yeah, it's the scam, we'll tell you that we need to have this stuff. And then, of course, it was not really about giving people free or cheap energy. It was actually about creating weaponry.
Correct. Yeah.
But then, I think with that, the alien thing or extraterrestrial thing or UFO thing or whatever it is, I think there's definitely something there. And I've seen the clip now on YouTube, and I'm pretty darn sure that Donald Trump has inadvertently let out the bag by turning around and saying the comments that Barack Obama made were classified.
Oh yes,
And I'm like,
yes,
well,
correct.
you've effectively just said there's something. By
Yeah.
going, you shouldn't have said that.
Yes.
Shouldn't have said what? What shouldn't he have said, Donald?
He says, but and then
Pray
he goes,
tell.
but it's classified. Whatever he did say,
Yeah, yeah.
it was kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm like, well, you may as well tell us now. You told us by not telling us. Right.
Well, even with which is I don't want to get it, but it is kind of funny. As you follow Trump, he does kind of hint to a lot of things that I found a little more baked in than previous presidents. A lot of things slipped out. Part of it also was a hint that things are not, I forget the name of that theory, but things are not always as nefarious. Sometimes it's just incompetence. Most of the time, I should say it's incompetence.
Yep.
So when we're seeing things happen in front of our eyes, when it comes to systems that are governing us, it's not always nefarious. It's just incompetence. Just even if it is a group of reptilians controlling us, they got reptile brains. They're dumb. No, they chase little bugs when something comes in the corner of the eye. No, still even then, because I'll say this, so some of my friends, not to choke around, they'd be like, "Oh, you're pretty smart," but I know I'm pretty dumb, And if I'm smarter than a group of my friends, then imagine who's the smartest guy is probably still not even as smart, and still just we're all infallible. So even the smartest Illuminati member is still just as incompetent as, let's say, the guy who gets hooked up on a drug somewhere. He's just as incompetent as someone who does that. It's still that has that way. So I do feel there's a lot of incompetence more than nefariousness. Though incompetence can create nefarious endings, but that's not always the case. Just like
it can also be used as a distraction too.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true too. Which is what we're seeing on a large
We get a lot of those.
Yeah. By the way, you said the magic word, Justin.
Oh, guy, is Phoebe Herman going to come out here? And say,
Yeah.
What
Never,
was
They're
that?
going to hunt
never
you
mention
down.
Illuminati on the stream.
Oh no!
You're targeted now, buddy.
Illuminati.
Oh, I'll chuck one out there as well. Freemasons. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
even
Oh.
better. Even better.
Well, I briefly have experience with Freemasons. Briefly, it wasn't as cool as I thought it would be. There's other guys cooler than me.
You guys do realize I was a Freemason, right?
I thought you still were.
No, I haven't gone in
You
years.
never leave the CIA.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Well, the Freemasons, at least we know they're like it's actually a real thing. But the Illuminati, is that still like sort of not really known? Is it more of
Well,
these
there
conspiracy
is.
things?
There actually was
Yeah.
the Bavarian Illuminati.
Correct,
Back
Bavarian
in
Illuminati.
1700s.
Oh,
Yes.
that well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it always
But-
exists.
They did at one point exist. The problem is that a lot of people perpetuate the belief that they still exist today as a secret organization. Now, I can't prove or disprove one way or the other, but that's basically what you're hearing about in today's terms.
Even if he could, he wouldn't.
Adam Weishaupt might still be alive. He might be a
That's
vampire.
right.
Sworn to secrecy.
Well, I mean, put in within your group of friends, if some of us still meet with people and have some at our age, you within my, let's say, 10 of us, okay, 20 makes more sense, obviously, because you're hopefully have at least 20 people in your circle. There's always going to be an inner group within that you communicate more with, that you probably plan more with, and some may have a hierarchy to your friend group. So you take that from micro to macro, all things exist the same. As so below, so above. All these things. So the Illuminati may not be or could have been this, but there's always going to be the inner circle and everything. The Freemasons, let's just say, it's just part of that inner circle. Okay, the
Most
Illuminati.
magical organizations have an inner circle.
Correct. All organizations, everything from your work to your family to all of it's going to have in it. So for me, it doesn't have to be Illuminati. They could be called the Goofy Goobers Club, and I'll believe it because I've seen it within every aspect of my life, from corporate, from the time I spent in corporate to the time I spent with dealing with friends and whatnot. You always have this inner group. Plus, you see it and how things organize within, or even in the government systems. Everyone's related. Everyone. I like how this turned into this because this is part of the reality thing too. Everyone's related, believe it or not. Conspiracy theory time. A lot of the people you see on screen, even YouTubers, maybe you guys up there, you guys, even YouTubers, maybe Matt there. Sometimes some people have those interconnections that they ended up able to create their base and expand on it so quickly. There's a lot of channels that have popped up in the last few years that somehow got hundreds and thousands of subscribers that speak on conspiracy theories specifically. And I go, where did these guys come from? You know, some, you look, they're part of other things, and they knew this producer and this and that and this and that, and that's how they get in. There's even I, in some sense, for instance, I being part of the paranormal. Many of us have been part of this, but I've had producers get a hold of me. I have friends that I went to high school with that are in the entertainment business, that worked on Ghost Hunters, that worked on many of the paranormal TV shows you've seen. Some I don't know as personal. I would say at least 3 or so out of the handful to dozen that I know. I know specifically that I grew up with. I was going to be part of the Paranormal Cops thing, but I kind of turned it down because they really just wanted to get information. I'm sure it would have went somewhere. It's not my thing. It's not my bag. Okay, I could have done documentaries. I could have been part of TV shows. It's not my bag. You know, maybe I should have, because the world's ending soon anyways, and I should have grabbed that bag while I could have. To be honest with you, realistic people out there listening, grab the bag while you can, because we only have so much time left.
Teabag. That's the tea bag, by the way.
There'll be a digital representation left, even if we're all gone, right?
But a lot.
Restart that net up and let's watch these episodes, Justin.
I think the reality is, though, that being involved with TV programs, I mean, I know people who've gone in to do ghost stuff and ended up, faking a lot of stuff, and it's because it's required of them to kind of do that. And also, they're not really interested in doing a whole night's of real exploring. They just want to come there, make it look like you've been there all night, and then edit it, kind of. It's not real, a lot of it's not actually what went on, and there's not a lot of research goes on.
Yes, and that's the boring part. It really is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was invited, and I took the opportunity as for advertising. I was invited to go on Unexplained Caught on Camera on the Discovery Plus, who are the same people that do Help My House is Haunted and all that lark. And the producer turned up with a cameraman, asked a bunch of questions. I've got, actually on my channel, I've got the entire hidden interview because I put a hidden camera. I've got that awesome. on a different membership because I don't want to put it fully on YouTube, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just in case. But in effect, we went to this location called Snuff Mills, which, I was saying at night it's really scary, all these things happen, etc., etc. And we went down there in the day to walk through, and the producer was like, "So how do you feel, Mark?" And I was like, "Well, it's all right, isn't it? The birds are tweeting, it's a lovely sunny day." And he's like, No. Could you possibly say, is it a bit spooky? I was like, "Not really." He's like, "Well, can you walk through here and just be like, oh, it's really spooky coming into here?" I was like, "Well, I can't lie." Because it isn't. The sun's shining. So I could bring me back down at night and we'll see that I'd be a bit different then. And then when I watched it back, there's this bit where they've used some of my footage, and I start talking about, people see a monk down here. And as it pans through the trees, I randomly see a monk in the tree line. And I go, that wasn't there before. So they've added that in.
Oh,
to the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, but obviously I've probably signed stuff to say you can use this footage however you like. So yeah, they've added stuff. But then the problem with that is, if people didn't know that and they were switched on, there's a lot of debunkers out there, they could go, Mark's faked that, he's put a monk in the woods. No, I didn't fake that. They did. Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad because I even grew up on. Now that you've experienced it,
Wow.
almost gas. Oh Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
When paranormal TV became as big in the late '90s, early 2000s, there was some validity to that. The shows were more like an investigative, historical based. By season 2, season 3, that's when the demons started coming. That's when it was ghost hunters had a ghost every week. I remember when they were more analytical of situations, and all of a sudden, hey, that's too boring. We got to get stuff going on, and then bam, 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 things started changing. And of course, being involved, you start noticing, oh yeah, this isn't how things go, But then you see the fans of these shows and how big they got, and people don't real. It's almost like their holy grail to experience it because this validates experiences. But the majority of people that even watch, that's why it's so easy to fake. That's why it's so easy to convince us of a lot of things because the majority of people are they're mesmerized by this stuff. It's so easy to mesmerize people.
That was the ticket. That was the ticket. That's what they figured out. The fact is that people that watch these shows believed it all. It's like, I keep saying it's like, when you're a kid watching wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a little bit of physicality in there, but I mean, it's mostly staged.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the paranormal show. Same thing.
Well, you'll never work for the WWE or the WWF.
Yeah. Some of them don't even bother faking the content. They just put so much drama in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, people want to watch the drama.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know why. It's for the same reason when you're in a traffic jam on a motorway or highway, depending on what country you're in, and you're like, oh, I wonder what's happened down
they got him.
And you slow down because you want to see the drama of the accident, which then holds the traffic up.
Yeah. Rubbernecking is what they call it.
Yeah, rubbernecking, yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird human thing where we, like, if someone starts having an argument in a shop, you're like, oh, here we go. That is that sort of weird, and you just stop everything you're doing just to see what's going on. He's just been slapped. He's been cheating on her, right? It's weird, but it's also annoying because I'm putting stuff out there, and I'm supposed that most people are as well who have got channels here, and it's getting not huge amounts of views. But then people are putting stuff out there which is just lies.
Mm-hmm.
It's slop.
Getting tens of thousands of views.
It's slop.
AI thumbnails of.
I was watching TikTok recently, and they do that social media thing where they draw everything out for the whole thing, and I'm like, this is popular. I could do that. I mean, we really should. We really should. These things are pulling thousands of views. And then because it's a younger audience, they all got these younger mannerisms, all these different things, bells and whistles, basically, to grab the audience the whole time. There was even one who was using, he was like, speaking of that, he was using his vape and telling the ghost, it's like, hey, you want to try my new vape? And people were laughing. And for me, okay, life isn't that serious. I'm a goofball, so I can laugh at that. But at the same time, as somewhat of a gatekeeper as well for certain things, and as someone who's been involved with the paranormal, I look at that and I go, this is what it's become. This is literally what our content has become to get these people to pay attention.
But it gets like this, Justin, because there are people out there who fall for a hook, line, and sinker.
Of course,
right? That's part of the problem. Even when it comes to just like regular news, or even like whether it's on paper or on digital media, whatever the case may be, people gravitate, much to Mark's point, to like the worst of the worst, and that's what attracts them. That's what they really focus on, as opposed to actually trying to learn what happened.
Yeah,
because that may be boring.
It is. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the truth might actually be boring, and people aren't about the, especially with today's attention spans. Today's people, the people attention span today is like that of a gnat.
It is. It is.
You know, and you gotta really grasp it, because if you don't grasp it, then you're just gonna lose it.
And it's turned into that, to be honest with you. It really has, because even I catch myself, and I gotta stop. I'm like, you know what? I want to watch this damn movie. Let me get off my phone. And I hate it because I'm not a huge like cinephile, but I love watching movies, mostly sci-fi, action, comedies, supernatural type stuff. I enjoy dramas and time periods, but I ain't gonna lie, I prefer fantastical things because I see dramatic shit in I see dramatic shit
Justin, have you seen this? I'll play a little bit. I don't want to get a strike or anything like that, right?
Oh my God, is this porn? Oh gee.
My God.
Hope it keeps you young, man. Couldn't agree more.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, it's so shocking and realistic.
It is. It is. And that's what makes it worse now. That's what makes
people
everything
like, actually. It's not, I will say that it's not just being dramatic or causing drama that entices people. Sometimes the weird and wonderful and
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I've been testing this. If I go out and I go live and I'm just talking like I am now with you lot, sometimes it's like trickles. Mainly TikTok. If I just go on there, hi guys, I'm a paranormal investigator. Blah. I go on 12 o'clock at night, put makeup on. Some of you have had the pleasure or displeasure of seeing me like this. It's 3
now I'm
o'clock in the
following
morning.
you.
And I'm there like, hello everybody and welcome to Hall of the Truth. You got people in there, they go in, oh, you're such a freak, and they're there.
Yeah.
That one place you just went to, you did the live on location sort of thing. That was pretty neat.
Woods.
The woods.
Yeah, and they like adventures as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
If you're
That
live
was
on
cool.
an event.
When you were doing the cards, that was also awesome.
That is true. That is true.
I mean,
So it's not just dramatic things.
We did live on location when we were shooting the Dark Woodlot. We were doing the Ouija board session in the woods. And it was like, but of course nothing worked.
It was fucking cold, and it wasn't.
Which is always the case.
I get a dead arm on that. I've had enough of that. We just put the board down with the planchette and go, if you want to move it, move it.
Yeah.
I'm not touching it anymore.
I was really hoping the planchette would move by its own. That way, Gord would be like, okay, I believe now.
I don't know if you know that in the UK, the ancient Ram Inn, it's a known.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah.
So there's a video that was going around on their channel, and there was a rocking chair on the table, and they've all got their hands on there, and they're going, "Oh, come on, spirits!" Then the chair is rocking like this, and I'm like, "You're all just watching the table."
Yeah.
And they all think, and I don't think they know they're doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's even
then they think it's the spirit moving this chair, and I'm like, it's not. I'm like, step away from the table, then ask the chair to move. In fact, put the chair on the floor.
The funny thing, 100 and some years ago, this was great content, it was believable. The table tappings, you remember the phantasmic goo? I forget what ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm.
Yeah. That's what actually now this is something. That's what kind of started changing for me and how to look at things and how to look at reality. A lot of things for me, which I'm gonna kind of pass off to you guys because I think this could go, was like short thing is, how did you get to where you believe now? Like, what made you believe what you're believing now, right? For me, as I said before, I started with a religious perspective. And I started reading the Bible, and I started looking at the world around me, and things weren't exactly clicking. I didn't necessarily need outside influences to affect me. It was really just what I'm being taught and what I'm experiencing. It didn't totally line up, especially the fantastical stuff you read in the Bible. Not saying any of that doesn't exist. Not saying that it isn't possible for people out there listening. Just saying that was my outcome. That's how I perceived it. And not saying I didn't take anything from those understandings of those teachings from Christianity, Catholicism, or anything. Okay. As you go further, you go from Bible. Now you're starting to learn history, and then now you're starting to learn how the world works around you. And then let's say we get into the paranormal field, which I, started off as any little 15-year-old picking up a ghost hunter's guidebook and reading all these things and getting excited about it. And then you get into it and you go, what? You go, what is this? This is nothing like what I've been reading. This is nothing. Then you start doing your research and you read all the stories you grew up with, from the Fox sisters to back to the table tappings and all these things from the spiritualist age. You dig further, because if you are getting into this field, you should be doing your research and you should be understanding our history involved with this. All that shit was a lie. All of it. All of it. And that's what I'm like. There's books, years, decades of books written as truth. And it wasn't until like maybe the later 80s, I want to say, most definitely in the 90s and so on, where more of this stuff started to become apparent. But prior to that, without any understanding, people were picking up these books about all these classic cases that we've read and know about, or ghost stories they told, or the famous Warrens is one of them. If you want to really dive deep into something like that, all right. I like Jay's his response to that.
Some books, though, I would say, I mean, I don't read a lot of books myself, but some stuff that may have been spoke about in the past about what it is or what the belief is, other than people that are just utter lying, it might have just been their perception of it or their understanding of it.
Sure, it was half
that time period, rather than it being in stone, and then that develops and changes over time depending on country, culture, year.
But then that's even part of that adds, and not saying it's fake, but the perception aspect. Perception doesn't necessarily mean fake, because we're experiencing things and our perceptions of gathering that information, data, whatever, will change in how we look at things. But it shows you how infallible our perception is. So even looking at these things, just like when I've experienced certain things, before, under the guise of a spiritual religious person, I'm experiencing ghosts, demons, angels, right? After that, after analyzation, which the main influence was getting involved with the hard sciences. When I started taking psychology, philosophy, sociology, even biology and zoology, I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't fit into our world of understanding when you're trying to understand these experiences. Later on, thanks to quantum theory, quantum mechanics, theoretical physics, things start making more sense, to be honest with you. But prior to that, it was easy to paint this, and having that lack of understanding on what physically can happen and what will happen, compared to what is fantastical and what may most likely not be happening. And it took a lot to go from that transition, but it was easy when under those guises to see those things and have those experiences. Like, for instance, I might have brought it up the last episode or someone else, but I woke up one night and I seen a shadow figuration as I'm waking up. My girl, she made a noise. She had a night terror, and I woke up. My eyes are adjusting, and on the corner, I'm looking as I'm turning my head. I see this thing, and I kind of jumped. And I'm looking and I go, what the heck? And I kind of did the quick, like, covered my face up. And I'm like, I'm waking up. I'm trying to like gather myself. And she was going through her thing. And I look over again and my eyes started focusing. And what I thought was a shadow thing was a clump of, it literally was a clothes on the coat hanger of the door. And I have a Eeyore picture above our room door. And because of the angle I was at, all right, I thought it looked like a man in a top hat. That's what it looked like to me, a man in a top hat. All right. Not saying that I haven't had interesting experiences that were visual that I couldn't explain. And one for sure was when I was in Central Illinois, and we were remodeling hotels. I think it was like the first time I was there. There's also little aspects to that make more sense now. All right. We're remodeling it. Where we're doing some mold remediation, which mold, if people don't know, can cause hallucinations. And some of these rooms, which was behind our room, were infested with moldy walls that we end up having to cut out and everything. But I'm there. I don't know if it's the first night or the first week, but I remember one of my guys was having trouble sleeping. I was kind of having trouble sleeping, and I think part of it, too, was being involved in Central Illinois. And it's kind of a different air. It's kind of, things are different down there compared to Northern Illinois, where I'm at. specifically Chicago. Things are much slower. The attitudes are different. There was times when I just didn't go to sleep, and we're just up and got to get up at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning to get the work started and everything. And we're just up, and other people are up too. But I'm laying there and I wake up, and this has happened. This is how I know it was a specific experience, because I've had this. When I've had these type of spiritual experiences, it's like a weird vibe over me. That's the only way I can explain it. I feel like I'm in a dreamlike state for sure. And I'm looking, and at the end of my bed, as I'm getting this, and this experience, this feeling I've had has happened before. I see a man in overalls standing at the foot of my bed, and it's a silhouette, but I can clearly tell it's overalls. And the room just felt heavy. That's the only way I can explain it. It felt heavy. I could feel this vibe on me. Here's this man. I close my eyes again. Nothing's there. Vibe changes. And I just was like, wait a minute, what just happened here? You know? Now, it could be where I'm at in Effingham, Illinois, which was a large hub for distribution. It still is, but not like it once was. A whole different thing about the economics of Illinois there. It used to be, but not as it once was. And so there was a lot of traffic going through there where we were. There's an old cemetery, which they had to move, which was just walk away. I could go walk to it if I wanted to from the hotel that I was staying at remodeling. And 2, we had mold. Not only that, I could have taken readings. Maybe Illinois has a lot of, is it uranium that gives off of, oh my God, I'm trying to remember the gas. But I can't believe I'm forgetting this, but the gas.
You're talking about radon.
Radon
Thank you.
gas, yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Radon. So Illinois, the reason why you have radon is because we have uranium underground. And when it starts breaking down, the gas starts coming up, the particles start coming up, and eventually it's a scam to be real quick. How is a small fan that pulls from a tube that has to go only so far under your house? This is how they direct the radon gas. And it's a little fan in the poop that just throws it out. That just throws it outside your house. All right, that's the radon here in Illinois. I don't know about the rest of the country, how they deal with it. But when you call someone to deal with it, when you have those high levels, you have to get a fan out. Yeah, the fan does pull it and the levels do go on, but those levels still exist. Now, imagine Illinois, for whatever reason, has that in large portions throughout the state. There's a possibility also, mold, radon, cemetery, maybe those mix of things might have added to this experience that I had, where it felt like, oh man, this mood change. And I see a man wearing overalls, which is a country area. Maybe subconsciously I put those things in my head. I'm in country. I'm going to see a man in overalls for whatever reason that is. Highly doubt it, but it happened. But looking at it and analyzing it and understanding our hard sciences, understanding the possibilities, you can deduct or at least rationalize what you're experiencing. Of course, my story has a lot of things I could tap off to and springboard from there. But the point is that we really don't know. Perception in itself could have been changed by the environment, or perception could be from me actually perceiving it, or I just kind of had a night terror myself, and the feeling I got was because I'm coming out of sleep. The DMT that helps us dream is starting to slip away. And here we are, which is, I also think, is part of the reasons why you have what you call it, old hag syndrome. What's the name of that?
Old hag.
Yeah. Shadow figures. Well, when you have those experiences, I believe what's happening for the most part, it could be the DMT, the chemicals that are happening during sleep, is starting to wear off, and you're in between, which is part of why you're experiencing that. Which is part of why. Go ahead, Mark.
I've actually had that.
This is all weird stuff. Well, mine's quite long, so it depends if you.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've actually had turned the lights off and seen a figure in the room when I was awake before I'd gone to sleep.
Jeez.
So I've actually had that as well.
Yeah.
So I've been looking and studying into the claims of the paranormal for years now, and in one location, a property, and you need to. The thing with the problem what people do is I say, oh, such and such thing happens, and they focus on the one thing rather than thinking of the whole package. And they get like hyper focused on the one thing, and I go, hang on a minute, you're forgetting that all these other things have gone on as well. So this property, the stories that I was told was like something from a horror movie, and I was like, yeah, give over. Now I was getting responsive knocking back, intelligent knocking back. Okay, I took a service bell to this property that went off by itself in the bathroom, which wasn't rigged in any way whatsoever. Completely normal bell that you can ding like service. A ladder which was up against an attic, lifted upright by itself and slammed back down again. A toy come flying out of a room. Okay, a door which was locked, physically could be seen going like someone's trying to open it. Just these sorts of things were going on in this property that I witnessed. Lights, you know, like you see in the films when they go, they sort of flickering like mental. It started doing that at one point. They had their loops tested, the electrical loops tested to make sure everything was fine. I ended up getting shocked. Josh was so statically charged when he walked under a light bulb, it turned on, right? His hair was on end. When he got home, he was sick, physically sick from this, whatever it was, the energy that from the electric or whatever was going on. Now, we went to this property on another occasion, and Josh, the reason I told you all the other stuff is because I didn't want to just tell you this bit and then just be like, well, that could be in his head. So he was looking down this area where when we went in on one occasion, there was a coin, a 2p piece coin. There's something about copper as well. I don't know what, but there's something about copper and the paranormal. There's some sort of weird link there. I don't know why. 2p piece coin came over the banister. We walked through the front door and I watched it come over the banister and down the stairs. No one was up there, not a single person. Owner took us up there, opened all the doors, not a single soul up there. On this other occasion, we were in there, so he was in that area where these things have been going on. People have heard whistles, claps, like almost like electrical claps in the air, sort of sounds like that. And he's looking down his thingy, and in the kitchen there's I can't remember if it was a clothes rack or a chair, whatever it was in the other side of the door. The door was see-through, and it was dark. And then all of a sudden, he comes darting into the room. White, sheet white, tears going down his eyes, no physical crying, and he was just going like that. And I was like, he's just seen something. When he calmed down, he described it, saying he's seen a shadow. At first, he thought it was his own reflection in the glass pane, and he started going like this to see if it would move, and then it sort of came out further and then went back in really quick. And he said it was so dark that the item that was in the dining room, well, you couldn't see the item behind it. So whatever it was in front of it, and he described it as being darker than dark. Now, we then asked the owners about this, and the way in which he described it matched word for word with what one of them had an account of seeing there. Two other people have seen it since in this house. So you go, well, what is that? Like, what? Then you add all the stuff together: the ladder, the toy, the this, the that, the bell, the noise, the knocking. And it gets to a point where I go, well, I can't ignore this as being something that isn't. Not that it is a demon, ghost, goblin, whatever. It's something. And I'm not a stupid person, right? It is something that, outside of my comprehension of what I'm understanding of science, seems to be beyond that knowledge. I get what you're saying. Hallucinations, dark, feeling scared, feeling tired. Is it this? Is it that? But when, unfortunately, we didn't have a camera of this shadow, because that would have been brilliant. But I do have the footage of the other things happening. But what people end up saying is, because it's so extraordinary, they just go, no, that can't happen. Wow. And I'm like, well, it can happen, because it did. I'm not trying to prove to you that it's a demon or a ghost. All I want is acknowledgement that it happened, and for you to perhaps give me an explanation. But nobody can. And it's like, I don't know if anyone else has experienced something to this level. It's so frustrating. And that's why I continue to explore places, because I want to get a grasp on what this possibly is.
I already have a few things come to my head.
Okay, hold them, Justin. We're going to
Go
take
ahead.
a quick break.
I'm going to take on that note.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more of this and more and more. And I want to hear Matt's description on his. What were you saying about sleep paralysis? You said you had.
I've had a bit of sleep paralysis.
Yeah, let's talk about that and more. That's
Yeah.
okay. So hold tight, guys. We'll be right back. You're watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live on YouTube and Kick and all that wonderful stuff. And yeah, and don't forget, we have memberships available now. Grab a membership. Help us. Help support us. We'll be
And a
right
spy
back.
decoder ring.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Richard Palmisano, the founder of the Searcher Group. It's a paranormal company, the oldest in Canada. I founded it in 1979, which not only makes me old, but makes me doing paranormal research and field work for just under 45 years now. I am also an author, researcher, and lecturer on the paranormal. I've written 6 books now. And I really enjoy coming on with Steve and Alex on Nocturnal Frequency Radio, as well as listening to the shows, because there's a lot of interesting guests there. I like it, looking at this stuff, because it opens your mind to other options and other alternative thoughts. And, there's always time to learn new things. So I hope you join us and come and C, Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Thank you.
So let me ask you, what makes for good radio?
My 5 favorite songs all day long.
Play it again.
No.
As many commercials as physically possible.
What? No, why would that be good?
Great music, great talk shows, no commercials.
Precisely. New Visions Radio gives you no commercials, no nonsense, just the best new music and the best talk all day long, 24/7, 365. NewVisionsRadio.com.
Hey guys, Kristen here, host of the Paranormal Girl podcast, a bingeable exploration and deep dive education about the paranormal for the skeptical believer. Some of my past season topics have included shadow people, Mandela effect, demons, and UFOs. Currently, I am tackling Bigfoot. I have been sharing this journey with my audience since early 2021, and I have learned a lot these last few years. It's truly a mysterious world out there beyond our perceptions, and reality is just not what it seems. I have also, since the start, met some awesome folks like Alex and Steve, and I've really enjoyed watching and learning from them and also joining them on their show. Their guests are always outstanding, their listeners are just the coolest, and these hosts are some of my favorite people. I recommend their show to anyone looking for an intelligent and fun conversation about the paranormal amongst friends. So join me on my investigation, join Steve and Alex on theirs, and enjoy. Now back to the show. You are watching Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
And that you are, and my co-host is not. What the hell's going on here, guys? The
Pay your bill for your AI.
Oh man,
It's a good
He's gone again.
God,
It's not cheap AI these days.
you know what it is. It's like his birthday stream. He takes off early. Like, come on. I'm telling you. Jesus.
We almost had a celebrity
There
roast
he
whenever
is.
he left.
There he is. You almost what? Sorry.
We almost had a celebrity roast whenever he left.
Well, we did. We won't tell him though.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Bexy, how are you? And Melissa, hey, Melissa, how are you? So, Justin, do you remember your thoughts, or did I scramble them?
No, not totally scrambled, but to be honest with you, I'd rather Matt go with his explanation.
Okay,
And
Matt.
then we can circle back after. That's how
All
we
right.
do it.
There you go.
I think we were kind of doing a brief potted history of how we got into this stuff. You asked us at the beginning, but I mean, if I can compress it, I mean, I used to be quite skeptical. I didn't believe in religions, and then I had a UFO sighting, and it changed my perspective on things. I then sort of thought to myself, well, if I've had something weird happen to me, maybe other people are too. And my whole kind of paradigm of what I thought was possible opened up. And then I started investigating UFOs. I had some other sightings in and around Wiltshire of UFOs, and did a lot of investigation of UFOs as well. I ended up making crop circles.
That's right.
Yeah, I had a lot of weird experiences connected with the crop circles, coincidences in things that we were doing designs. And, other people had been predicting these designs were going to appear, or even asking for that design to appear, and we'd go out and do it. So it told me that we were, and strange things as well happening, like me asking it to stop raining one night, and it stopped raining, and there's a big oval shape in the cloud when the clouds were moving past it, and this thing was hovering there, and it was stopping the rain. So my perspective on reality and what's out there has completely changed. And I now think that we're sharing our existence with much higher intelligences, and there's much bigger things going on out there. And I mean, I've been to a lot of spiritualist churches, and I've not had the hokey kind of experience, which is telling you what you want to hear. I mean, we've literally gone to these places cold, and just sat at the back and said nothing. And we've had very specific information given to us, which was, like, to me, beyond any, parlor trick. So I'm a big believer in the afterlife. I'm a big believer in higher powers, and I think it's actually made me feel a lot more comfortable about life, really, because knowing that there's something else out there. When I was going back to being skeptical and believing that, death is the end, that's it, light switch off, no consciousness, carries on. I'm actually feeling a lot better about life since I've discovered a lot of this other stuff. So I think, it's actually quite good for people to look into and realize there's a lot more going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is something that we should discuss. I think that's
Yeah.
really important because, I mean, people initially think, "Oh, why are you looking at that stuff?
Yeah.
You're crazy. You're crazy." But I don't know. My quest was to simply, kind of figure out what is going on. Like, I mean, what's going on, and I think I've really matured in the sense that I feel more at ease when the time comes, if you will. Life is short,
Mhm.
and I find that if you ignore this sort of realm, you're missing out.
Yeah.
And it's not that I might be a little crazier than most people out there, but that's fine. I just don't care what you think, if I'm crazy or not. That's fine. But I'm the one who's doing it. You're not. And you're going to sit there and go, I should have did this. I should have done that. I mean, what about you guys? Like, your journey, your adventure into this, how has it changed your lives? And we'll start with James.
A lot has happened. When I was a kid, it was a lot of different things happening. Assault orbs, saw shadow people, but they weren't like dark. They were kind of translucent. You kind of see through them. But honestly, I thought it was just natural stuff. I never really believed in it until one night I had an unusual event happen, had phantom voices in the room, footprints appearing on my bed while I'm still in the bed. Totally changed my idea on the whole thing. But it wasn't until my 20s that I actually started to study and start to try to do the ghost hunting. I joined up with a little group. I was the EVP guy. Still love EVP. God, I love it. It's great. I started out doing the whole trying to copy everything that TAPS was doing at the time.
I think a lot of people were doing that because it was the in thing to do. And whatever, go on.
Yeah, because I didn't really know anything. I mean, I wasn't really online at that time, not very much. And I was like, okay, well, these guys are on TV. They must know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I started building little devices and ion counters and stuff. And then I started noticing correlations with things that were just happening and the equipment going off. I was like, okay, well, we just have natural things causing this equipment to go off. This isn't paranormal. A lot of the EVPs still can't explain them. Okay, intelligent responses, I still have them around here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that I can't really fully debunk. But as far as equipment, I started getting into the electronics more. But that was only half of it. The last 4 or 5 years is actually what really has got me rethinking reality, because I started learning physics about 5 to 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started looking into near-death experience and out-of-body and astral projection. Started learning a little bit about hypnosis, because you can very easily hypnotize yourself to believe anything without even realizing that you're doing it. Because it all ties together. I mean, people have these experiences outside their body, or so they believe. Some of it can be explained, some of it cannot be. How do you know the difference? So those were the thoughts that kept me awake at night. But what's led me to that is just going through some of these near-death experience accounts and trying to compare them to what we believe, and it's really changed my idea of reality itself. That's why I always say that, I think this is a simulation of sorts, not the kind of simulation that we think of all the time, not a computer simulation, but a reality built for us to come here to have experience to further the spirit.
So, and some people go like a type of purgatory, to keep you, sedated, if you will.
Yeah,
like the Matrix. To the real sort of what's really happening is like disastrous, and they don't want you to see it, sort of thing, filtering you and feeding you just enough to keep you, I hate to say entertained, but I mean, how else are you going to put it?
Taking the blue pill.
Yeah.
But if you, what they say that this place is we choose to come here to learn a particular lesson, and once we get here, we're not allowed to remember who we were, what was happening on the other side. Because if we know all of that, then what's the point? You're not going to get your lesson because you already know the end of the book. I mean, why read the book if you already know the ending?
Yeah.
So you come here, you have these trials and tribulations, you have these horrible events, and they say that once they get out of that, once they leave the body, it's like the life we have here was 1,000 years ago. It feels like it was forever ago. You look over everything, and you don't really see your life again from your eyes. You see your life from the eyes of every single being, human, animal, bug, whatever, everything that you interacted with, and you feel what they feel and see what they saw and think what they thought. So you look at your own life through their view, is what they say. And so, okay, well, this makes a lot of sense, because, we want to know why we're here. Well, if we are spirits and the spirits want to learn more, well, that's really the only way you're going to get perspective on how to interact with everybody else. Can we prove any of this? No, I don't think we can prove any of this. But what bothers me about it is you have millions of these stories of people seeing these things. They leave the body and come back. Why so many? Why so many that are so similar? Is that just DMT? Is that something that is hardwired into the brain? Why would the brain choose that through millions of years of evolution to have in our head? I mean, why that? Where is it coming from is what's bothering me.
Well, there's a possibility that DMT is a cushion mechanism for when we die, to make things, more palatable. Your brain doesn't want you to sort of feel that it's like, this is the end. And it could be, to kind of make you feel like, oh, there's all these people I know around me. And that's a theory. I like to think it's actually, that's the way it really is. That,
When does
when you die,
physically
you
get released, though? Because there is accounts from people that are not dead, or nor have they died and then come back. There's a lot of people that witness this in care homes where there's elderly people which are near death. They don't necessarily die that day, and they see them talking to the physical air, and they're like, oh, that was my dad that just came in. I was talking to him. Like, what is that? Is that a psychological thing that's going on with them, or have they actually just seen their dad who died like 50 years ago?
Well, maybe DMT can trigger outside of the actual shutting down of the brain direct, like, with the minutes to die. Maybe when you're that old and your brain would misfire the DMT at a much earlier time as well. It's possible. I mean, not a lot of studies have been done on this. That's the trouble. Is it's kind of like we're dealing with something that is so important, but there's very few studies have been done. Apart from there were hospitals that were putting messages on tops of signs, because when people were coming out of their body, they were saying, well, if you're coming out of your body and floating up, tell us what was written on top of the lights, and they had messages up there. But I mean, there's so many other stories which are inexplicable, where people have left the room in the astral body and gone to another room and told people what they were discussing down the corridor, or in a different area of the hospital. So those stories exist. But I mean, it's science is looking for answers, supposedly, but are they really? Are they making the extra effort to prove that this world is real? They don't. I don't think they want to.
There's no funding in it. Then they won't bother.
Yeah.
Yes,
They're not
most
funded to do
science.
it. The only reason we went to space wasn't to go see what was on the moon. That was about like a power thing. That was because it was like, oh, we're going to get there before the Russians, sort of thing with America. And then once that was established, that's why NASA got disbanded, because there was no need anymore. There was no funding for it. So they're not going to fund something unless it's going to make you money.
And the scientific community doesn't like messing with anything that they can't get actual results from.
Exactly.
And paranormal, they can't. It's intangible.
What the funny thing is that you'd imagine that some of the people that would be quite well kitted out to do this would be the church. And if they got involved, with the amount of money and resources they could put behind this, they could actually maybe prove and show people that there is an afterlife and that there are spirits and things like that. But it goes against what they say they're involved with, because certainly the Western, the Catholic Church, Christianity says that you should not commune with spirits.
No.
And they're against that. So they don't want you to talk to spirits to prove that the spirits are real. Which is like, well, hang on a minute. You're telling everybody there's a heaven, but you're telling everybody you can't do any experiments to prove that.
What's interesting, though, is on that note, it is what I find very intriguing is that in the books of like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it speaks of when they seen, the story is they seen Jesus walking on water, and they went, "Oh, is that a ghost?" Hang on. So you have a perception of ghosts. And then if you go to the Old Testament, there's actually talks of people appearing. I believe even in the New Testament, it talks of, is it like, I think Noah and maybe Abraham or somebody apparently appears as like spirits. So it's not necessarily inherently a bad thing.
You're allowed to speak to these spirits, but not these spirits.
Yeah.
But then I think the reason for it is because according to the scripture, you don't really know once you open that door, you're opening the door to everything. You're opening the door to the lost souls of the Nephilim, which are now known as demons. And you're also opening the door to numerous other things like the unclean spirits and other entities, not fallen angels, because they're said to be trapped within the abyss and they can't actually affect us. That's all scripture, by the way. A mad Mark said this. It's true.
That guy Mark is mad.
We need to get you on a pulpit somewhere, sir.
Yeah.
There's actually accounts that go back further, kind of related to that. Plato actually did a story about a near-death experience, and it was just a story. He said it wasn't a real account; it was a story. A soldier died on the battlefield, goes and learns about his origin, what happens with souls, and then he come back to life. And the story 10 days later, which we know is impossible, but a lot of the elements in that story are the same things that we hear today about near-death experiences and spirits and stuff like that. He just wrote a story about it, but where did he get the elements from that match up with everything that we still hear today?
When enough people say the same thing, so I was touching on something I was talking about earlier today. I was like, you can't just ignore that different people around the world have the same accounts of the same thing. Because you can't just go, oh, well, it must have... No. There's something to that.
Yeah.
Well, if you go to India, I mean, people are much more open to the idea of reincarnation. So it's openly explored in their culture. And there are very many good testimony cases of children that have come into the world with vast amounts of knowledge that they shouldn't have, and can take the people back to where they were living their other lives, and can there's no way that they would have known this information, that they can go and make contact with people they knew and explain their life to them. And I mean, I think with that sort of level of evidence, it kind of makes me angry when I see, like Al Jalili or whatever his name is, talking about why quantum stuff is not explainable as magic, and it's not going to explain the paranormal and never will. And I'm like, well, that's really good. That's really, really clever of you to say that that something as fantastical as quantum entanglement exists, and that wormholes exist that are transporting the quantum particles. That's probably real, but that none of us are using it as a telecommunications network, or that for certain. You can shut that avenue completely down. It's never going to explain these things. And it's like, I think these are the gatekeepers. Scientists often are the gatekeepers to keep us away from what we could be learning, what we could be doing. And I think people just kind of ignore the scientists, and they go, to hell with you. You don't explain the things that I've experienced.
That's
Sorry.
a difficult one to say, because the problem with that ideology is, I've got a friend who's like he's a computational chemist, and a lot of people within the science field they would do anything in their power to be that next person has something that's amazing. Not only that, if you get a Nobel Prize for something, it's $1 million. So if you can prove the existence of God, fundamentally, $1 million. So why would you hold back information? That's just to be a devil's advocate on what you just said.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because before you get to the point where you proved something, you'd already been vilified, and torn apart by the scientific community around you before you got to the point where you could actually sort of go forward and do it. I mean, and you might want to do it, but you're going to have to get your faculty on board and get some funding for it. And unless you want to go renegade, in which case you'll just be the lone crazy scientist that is trying to work on this stuff.
You get called a pseudoscientist.
Yeah, you're not the real thing because you're not with a big body of other scientists. So
as long as you're not a scientist that wears fishnets. Sorry,
that's a sight.
Alex has to get his fishnets out. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Mark, let's continue, because I mean, where we were, how's the paranormal changed your life?
I'll get into that, but before I do that, I think Justin's microphone was muted because I could see his lips going, but nothing was happening. But I'll get into what I was saying. I was like, wait a minute, he hasn't said anything for a while. This is
silence,
and it was muted. Look at that.
It was muted. Yeah.
I was going to say that science does. I wanted to bring up a point that it's not as out of the realm that we don't understand this. Mainly because James brought up Plato, right? We're talking about a guy. Was it 1,500 years ago, 1,000 years ago was Plato, somewhere around there, right? He was already philosophy, okay? Yeah. What started then? He was already understanding physics, not just him. He had many of his time, which if people don't know, Plato, among many, this is where mystery schools started, okay? This is all part of what mystery schools are. It's understanding this knowledge that they're talking about and being able to. So originally mystery schools is kind of like what we romanticize Freemasonry to be, where you're sitting there and discussing philosophical things, which that's how I was sold on it, FYI. It wasn't that when I was getting involved necessarily. There's aspects of that, but I did not experience anything where I was able to have a theological or philosophical conversation with the members at the specific lodge I was at. Some of the stuff I was even talking about, it was flying over their heads. And I was like, I thought this was supposed to be like some great occultic philosophical thing. And of course, you're not even supposed to believe in a God, or I'm sorry, you're not supposed to talk about those things, but you are supposed to believe in a higher power, which I found odd. Okay, not necessarily odd, but
Contradictory, isn't it?
a little contradictory. Okay, not saying it's bad. I kind of understand why they got to have that, because in order for you to even maybe align yourself with those practices, the great work, you kind of have to think outside the box. So if you have an understanding of a higher power, then you have the capabilities to kind of grasp, oh yeah, we're doing rituals, talking about the Northeast, West, and South, and all these things. FYI, Freemasonry is also a philosophy. Part of it is. I've tested this with some Masons that I've ran into. It kind of goes over the head, but I wear Solomon seals, okay, specifically because of my path into Freemasonry, because I like the aesthetics of it and a bit of the history of it. The idea that I gather from Freemasonry in itself, which is also part of the mystery schools, is that you are the temple and you're creating the world around you. All right. Philosophy is pretty much ingrained with this idea with the Freemasonry that we are the temple. Hymer Abith is the architect. You're the architect who is Hymer Abith, and that's what's going on there. That's on the blanket of it. That's what it is. Everything else, I can't say. I don't know about any of the other degrees. I don't know about what 33. I don't know about Scottish Rite really, but the baseline is all I can come and find out. With that baseline too is all I've ever found in all these other offshoots of these secret societies. From besides the fraternity aspect of it and the ritual aspect, this is the core of it. Now back to what I was saying. What I'm even talking about is already 100,000, like 1,000 years old, probably longer. Probably since the beginning of Zoroastrianism and any other ancient religious belief.
Say that word again. I love that word. Say it again.
Zoroastrianism. So most likely they already. So my point is that what we're discussing now is already thousands of years old. So how could science now not know what spiritual experiences are? They do. The thing is, conspiracy brain, because I have no proof. Everything I'm even talking about, I technically have no proof, but other personal experiences and my own reading. Maybe that's what the great psyop is if that's the secret. That's why we don't know. That's why the mass doesn't know, because they're keeping that from you. All right. If you realize that maybe you have the power to manipulate reality, which manipulates what you're perceiving, that changes the whole game of everything. You keep it to the small few or the little occult schools or Anton LaVey or whatever. You keep it like that. You go on, do whatever you want. But if the mass got to that, if you veil it as, just like I believe David Icke is saying things, again, Trump saying certain things, but he shrouds it in this veneer. David Icke says, David Icke, I'm sorry, says certain things. Yeah, not Icke. Sorry.
David Icke, I love that.
You say the bloodlines, that's another thing I got to come to. You say the bloodlines, but then throw in reptilians, that kind of throws it off without you taking it too seriously. You go and you remove that and you start researching, oh, this English dude is actually saying something weird is really happening, and it's really happening. There are bloodlines on the path about past lives and other things. What is the Dalai Lama? And it's a reincarnated being. Okay, how do they find out who this reincarnated being is? It's not by a spiritual test.
You know, for a second there, I thought you said reincarnated bean.
Bean, yes, he is a bean.
Refried bean.
Refried bean.
I had tostadas tonight, so I did have some refried beans.
Recycled.
Better you than
Alex.
Alex.
I might be flying out this chair. They do a DNA test, guys. They check genetics. People don't realize it's not just some spiritual thing. Oh, this guy is a reincarnated being, this child who eventually grows into the Dalai Lama. They have to do a DNA test, okay?
You got the volt, Matt.
Recycled.
Oh, Mark.
So they understand that these things are scientifically based, that there's information hidden within our DNA, within our genome, which is why we see these mutations. All right, I know I'm going off on it. The mutations that we see, they're we consider mutations now, but like maybe 100,000 years ago they weren't. These are just remnants of the past. All right, whatever that past is, alien, Enochian, reptilian stuff, whatever that may be, we don't know. But there's something that happened back there, and they
How-
knew about it thousands of years ago.
How did they used to test for the Dalai Lama? Because I mean, DNA tests are only recent. I mean, how would they do this in previous times then? Because there must have been some sort of divination or kind
Blood
of, you
test?
know, select. Well,
Something.
yeah, but prior to them knowing what they're looking at, or they may be like, "Oh, this guy's he's got a slightly
He's the
whiter
wrong guy."
blood. He
Yeah.
must be the right one." Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure.
He's got
Hopefully
all the
someone can pick that up.
markings.
But that's what they're even right now. A
Brown
lot
door.
of
Brown door. That's all I'm saying.
what
Yeah.
they're testing with
Yep, he's retailing.
the Israel and understanding those lineages, they have to do DNA testing for a lot of that. Some of that's valid. A lot of countries actually do DNA testing to find out certain birthright stuff. Birthright stuff is something that's not just it's valid. There is some weird birthright stuff going on. Doesn't have to be king, but the original families of this earth are still using these things. All right. So I know they know what is going on. What exactly is going on, I don't know. But I do know, or I feel, let's just say that, I feel they do know. And they're just hiding it from us. Because if we're able to discuss these at our level, it's totally able to be possible to understand these on a broader level, but it's not. It's not because it's by choice. And that's probably my quick answer for everything that we're kind of talking. It's by choice. The moon landing stuff, all this is by choice. Not necessarily nefarious, maybe. There might be some incompetence, but it's still by design because we're seeing it in every aspect of our lives, right down back to the simulation, to media, to political ideologies. That's all made up. That's all made up. And they know this has been happening for thousands of years. Back to conspiracy stuff, they know this already. So I know that they know what spiritual experiences are. What they exactly are, I don't know. But we do have quantum mechanics. We do have quantum theory that explains these things. And we kind of, we touched on it, you know. Real quick, so I know we do have short time. I want Mark to get to his point before I go. But like, that's where I started changing. I came from that. I'm kind of like Matt here, but on the flip. I came from a religious background, then became into an atheistic background, but then I came into a spiritual a spiritual understanding after that when I started doing more studying and I started looking deeper into things and kind of doing history and understanding a little bit of quantum theory and stuff, reading past physicists and whatnot. Do I get it all? No, but I have a basic understanding. Things started changing. You know, one time I was taking a break, and this is during my atheistic time. And it was when I started getting into quantum theory, the start of What the Bleep Do We Know? All right. If you remember, that was a big thing, which is not, you guys ever looked at What the Bleep Do We Know? That propaganda?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cult shit. That's cult shit. And a cult actually produced that video series, among a few other things. That's all cult stuff. The Secret, all those things aligned during that New Age part. And this is ancient stuff. It's just repackaged as The Secret. It's repackaged as the magic of quantum theory, the magic of quantum mechanics. What the Bleep Do We Know? My young self looked at it and was, you know, but when you look into it, you start looking at it that, this is a long history of things. This is just repackaged into this New Age ideology. You know, half of New Age stuff, tangent, Kabbalah. That stems from Kabbalah, all right? I won't get in any further, but half of magic beliefs, New Age, secret societies, kind of stem around Kabbalistic beliefs, all right? Take that what you will, go with that, fine, whatever, all right? If that is the case too, and these people are secret societies, higher up people, are using this, which I found through all my research studying occultism and even the spiritualist movement, it wasn't mom and pop who owns a shop doing baked goods. It was the higher society who was having spiritualist parties, okay, doing tarot card readings and all sorts of things, among other things that's been happening for the higher societies throughout the years. It has been going on. These are the people that know, because at that point you have access to that information, you know. And again, this is still by economics, by choice, is still limited to people who want to go see it, but not by the greater scale. But when I started digging into that, that's when I started switching, and also paranormal investigating. When I was recording people sleeping, when I was visiting supposed haunted places by myself, so in some sketchy areas as a 17-year-old, as a 20-year-old, meeting random people online, and who knows what could have happened to me. I went out and I didn't experience anything. I have experienced occult stuff. I have experienced some occult stuff, which is telling me there's something going on there. All right, which is also why I do this. But I really don't know the answers. I do know there's information that explains
Matt,
a lot of our spiritual experiences. So it's out there no matter what. You just got to look for it. And if someone tells you that science ain't going to explain it, they already know. They know this already. It's just not to the public. It's not to the mass. And you may have to dig a little bit to read a couple books or someone who was involved with, whatever projects and whatnot. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, Mark, go.
What was the question?
The stage is yours. How has the paranormal changed your life?
It's made me more insane.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, you got what people don't realize is when I was really little, I used to think ghosts were real, and when I was really, really little, I used to think all sorts were real. But then when you're little, you do, don't you? And then as I got a bit older, and I started, because I'm a close-up magician as well, and then obviously having a friend who was very science-minded, you've got magic, fakery, Darren Brown, Great James Randi, blah, 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 blah. This is all nonsense. And then you got science, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Brian Cox, etc., right? So I was like, yeah, this is all nonsense. I would actively, and I'm no word of a lie, I would actively pay to go to these ghost adventure hunt thingies that people pay to do. I'd go to them and I'd creaking this, it's creaking that. One time we were in a prison, everyone was there like, oh, there's someone here, I'm feeling cold. I went, can I switch with you? I switched with them. Window was open behind, it ruined it for everybody. I was the poo-pooer of the paranormal. You got the debunkers now, which are on YouTube, that poo-poo it on YouTube. But I would physically go to places and go, bollocks, right? Maybe not as blunt as that, but I was always going, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, it could be that. And I dismiss
You're one of those, huh, Mark?
I was. And then
we've got one that can see.
So there was a person called Chris that started Haunting to the Truth with me, who's sort of gone his own way now, and he told me he had experiences in a location that I had previously had experiences in, but I sort of put them to one side as it just being the building falling apart, despite the fact that a bit of glass came down the corridor towards me and landed on the floor, and I put it down to, well, the glass could have been loose in the window and then the wind could have picked it up and carried it across the room and then landed in front of me. That's what I put it down to. I was that pedantic with it. He took me to a place, and the first thing that really struck me was I heard something running towards me that I couldn't physically see. Now, being so skeptical and hearing that and having a rational mindset, I think it had a profound effect on me. I really freaked out. I had a panic attack. No word of a lie. I was ran back, right? Panicking. Then rational kicked in. I realized all my gear was down there. Like, when I say gear, I mean camera gear. I don't mean that sort of gear. It was all down there, and I was like, if there's somebody really there, they could nick my $2,000 camera. So I went back, no one there, nothing out of place. I've heard that running 3 times on other occasions. I've had things thrown towards me. I've been pushed. I've had whistles, all sorts of stuff. So what it's done is it's made me go from being completely skeptical to open skeptic, and now I'm at a point where I'm like, the ironic thing would be if I suddenly turned to God You know what I mean? How this person is like really skeptical, then suddenly becomes extremely religious because of what I found within the paranormal. Because I've done religious propagation and it's worked. So why has that worked? If this is meant to be fairy tales, why has that worked?
It's mind over
That's
matter.
that,
man.
and it's just, and then you get more questions on. You think, oh, I got an answer here, and then you get a question on top of the answer, and then as soon as you think you're getting somewhere, it's like, oh, I've got a pattern. This does this, does that. Oh, hang on, the EMF reader's going off. That doesn't mean the ghost is talking to it.
Correct. Yeah.
That means there's an electromagnetic field going off. But does that correlate then with said activity? Is the spirit drawing on the EMF, not the EMF, but drawing on the power around it, which then spikes the EMF? It uses that energy to then throw an item, let's say, hypothetically. So I thought I was onto something, but every time I take one step forward, I take 2 steps back. And then whenever I do try to display stuff, which seems to be crazy, a lot of people don't want to have anything to do with it. It's, you're lying, in this, in that. So it's like really frustrating for me. So when I say it's driving me crazy, it literally is driving me crazy. And it's like, all I want to do is show people what's going on and then hear what people have to say about it. But I'm fed up with this. I'm fed up with people just going, you're lying. It's like, that's not an answer. That's you not being able to have the ability to think to give me a reasonable answer. So you've jumped to the easiest conclusion.
And that's par for the course, right? I mean, that's the usual culprit, right?
These days,
It's always
especially
going to
with
be
AI.
people that say no.
Especially with AI now, it's like, and it's so difficult now. It's so difficult to try and do stuff in a real way. I find like going live and doing these adventures, people seem to like the most, and I don't know if that's just because there's literally no way that anything could be rigged because I'm live. I can't create an AI thing when live. That's something that doesn't exist at the moment, as far as I'm aware.
Probably cost a lot.
It really has appeared when I'm live. You know, if I go somewhere and then something like fully forms in front of me and I'm live,
doesn't cost me very much. I mean, Alex is pretty cheap.
So I don't know. It's sort of, and I've also found that some people, it can affect people profoundly. Like people can start falling out as well. It can actually have really negative implications on people. Some people can get ill from it. It can actually make you, not that it's the demon making the meal, it's just the overwhelmingness of this knowledge. It can drive you a bit crazy. And if you're not somebody, I think you have to be a little bit mental to do it in the first place.
Well, yeah, you need an outlet to sort of get it all out. I mean, and yeah, this is as crazy as it seems.
Or maybe not easily frightened, like some of us bounce back.
Yeah.
Because the people that wouldn't be into it aren't into it, and the people that can do it, do it. Not everybody is cut out for this sort of thing. I think it does drive people a little bit away sometimes.
It can cause night terrors as well. What people don't realize is, like, I get night terrors constantly, really. I haven't had a nice dream in years. In some places I will go to and I'll come back and I'll have night terrors. It feels like someone's shaking my bed. Sometimes I've even had things happen with accounts with other people that I'm living with in my house where they're like, that this has happened. I walked in from a location the other night at the adventure at Snuff Mills and I started talking about it downstairs and there was this almighty banging noise up here and there was no one up here.
Has that started since you doing this sort of thing then? Did you not have this problem years ago?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I always had the odd nightmare because I'm a massive horror fan.
You too.
Like I'm into I've got figures of signed by Freddy Krueger and stuff. I've got a whole collection of skulls and all sorts up there on my shelf. and little death whistle and what have you, right? So I've always been into that sort of stuff. So that's a given. But there's a difference between a nightmare and a night terror. A night terror, it feels physically real. You will wake up in sweats and panic and breathing and absolute anxiety and your heart bumping like mad. A nightmare is like it's like a little bit like a horror film. You're like, oh, that's interesting. But a night terror feels too real. And that's only happened since doing the paranormal and since going to certain locations. Everyone's showing off their stuff.
It's like that, right? I mean, it's like that. It's like, well,
I always sleep with the light on. I kind of got to the point where I got bored of having these things happening, and I didn't like them.
I'm crazy.
I sleep with the light on.
From places.
Not a bright light, but enough so if I wake up, I'm not going to see something in the room and start like going, "What the fuck?"
My problem is I sleep with the light on because I can't fucking see without my glasses.
This was seen on camera, in view, doing this. Okay, and then falling over. It's quite heavy on the bottom. It does move about.
Ah, look at him go!
But see how I'm moving that about and it's not really falling? Yeah?
No, not Christmas.
Before I get copyright striked, right? That, even if I'm moving it back like this, it's not really affecting it, yeah? It did this on video and then fell over. And the owner was kind enough to let me have this to do experiments with in my house. And I've left it places, I've let the battery drain, I've let this happen, that happen. Never had anything happen with it, ever. Nothing weird with it. Took it back to the location, put it in the middle of a drum, and it came off the drum by itself. And that was caught on the edge of the camera, so you just see it come into frame. So it was just because like the camera was moved and it was just on the edge and it came off.
Was it the same location with the person that gave it to you, or was it just another paranormal
the same
location? All right, yeah.
Identical location, yeah. And I have that. So I have little things like that. Got this one. This one was from a care home. So this was from a haunted care home. People go, "You're mental. You can end up bringing someone into your house." I go, "Good. That means I don't have to go anywhere." Then.
Oh well, it's
Just
too
stay
late.
here.
I got lots of things in my house.
Yeah,
too late.
I go, if I have a haunted house, I'm going to get rich. £80 a night. Come on in.
This is part of a vertebrae that I found in Robinson Woods in Chicago, and nothing's crazy has happened, but it was interesting to find this. Which it could have been a deer. But it could have been something else. Who knows? There have been things that people go in those woods and doing something with it. I've had it for years. Nothing's totally happened as
long as you're not using it as a pipe or something.
Is it painted on one side or something?
Correct. Yes, my children painted it.
Yes.
No, it's blood. It's stained with blood.
I do get a bit superstitious, even though I'm rational. So I do have the yin with the yang per se. So even though I have all these strange trinkets, I have this, which is known as the Bakwa mirror, which apparently, according to the Chinese, is a protection mirror. I've got the Holy Bible up there, just in case. I've got like a pentagram up there, the pagan protection. I've got a cross over there. I've got the Virgin Mary over there. So it's like, got to have a bit of a balance up there, haven't you? Just
one of these
it's like
protection sigil.
You never know.
Okay, let's. Matt touched a bit about his. Justin, how has the paranormal changed your life?
I think I'm with these guys where I'm more spiritual now, being involved. Yes, I'm skeptical. I try to go things biologically, but most definitely I've come around to a more spiritual, whatever that means, understanding to things that are going on. And as you can see from my schizo rantings, in a sense, I got things going. I got this linear thought with these connections that only from being involved with the community is the only way I got to that point. I've had my personal experiences. I know we got some time, running out of time here, but I've had personal experiences. What pushed me into this? I had a dream my father died, and he died the next day, and I'm like, What's that about? I'm 10 years old, and I'm already trying to grasp what that means. I've had other experiences, a couple of them I talked about, but it all started with my younger experiences and trying to understand what that meant. And the Bible couldn't explain it to me because I'm not supposed to be having these types of things. This is what oracles and fortune tellers are doing. How am I having a precognition of my father's death? And it's happening the next day, and that's what tripped me off. And then from that, questioning other spiritual experiences, and then using science and logic and formulating, and then digging deeper. Now I come back to where something's going on. It's not all in people's heads. Some of it is, but something most definitely is going on. And it's made me more open, but yet skeptical of what I'm experiencing and seeing. And that's how much it's changed me right now.
Wow. I kind of, Matt, when we said that, when people look at us with what we do and how, the craziness that we get into and the stuff that we actually look at, it's one thing to say that you're a paranormal investigator, but it's another to say that you make crop circles. I mean, people would go, "What? You seriously make crop circles?" I mean, you must have had like people go, "Are you serious?" Right? I mean, seriously, Matt.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it takes some explaining to get people to believe you as well, because a lot of people are not easily convinced about the fact that people can make crop circles. And a lot of people have had weird experiences in crop circles, so therefore they say, well, hang on, you said you made this, but I had a weird experience, so how could you be involved with it if I had a weird experience? And I said, well, we've had weird experiences when making them. There's something bigger going on, but people are definitely making the crop circles, so there is a bigger dynamic to it, and that's why people should still be interested in it from a paranormal perspective. But you try telling people that, a lot of people get turned off. It's a hard sell, that one.
I was, I don't know how much time we have here, but I had a question, Matt, because you mentioned something with the crop circles. You said that certain things happened after doing crop circles. Okay. Now, crop circles to me are designs, right? It's artistic. Do you think you're doing sigil work, or is there some implementation? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think that the designs themselves probably have some kind of magical property, in so much as if you focus your energy or attention of your mind on them, that it's going to create some type of effect.
Yes.
So it's going to alter your perceptions. Maybe it might have that type of working with the subconscious. It may go into the subconscious and activate something there, which is not readily apparent to your conscious mind, but is more subconscious.
Correct.
And I think the simple act of trying to decipher something that, to many people who don't understand that these things are made by people, and it's kind of funny, really, isn't it? It's people would rather believe that it couldn't be made by people than made by people, but that's what a lot of people believe. And they've been fed this kind of diet of saying that, if people made it, there would be lots of broken stems. Well, there are broken stems. It's just that the people who report it to you don't tell you that. They tell you that, oh, this was immaculate. So there could have been no humans involved because it was literally untouched. It was like, it's like, well, it's no different to any of the others we've ever done, and it's like, but suddenly this one is the untouched one, the others aren't. And it's like, these people don't know what they're talking about, these researchers. They make it up as they go along, I think. But however, people do visit the crop circles, have life-altering experiences. Some people say they've been healed, and a lot of people meditate in them and say they have transcendental experiences. So all that, I think, is positive, even though it's man-made. But what is interesting, I think, is the energies that get picked up, on equipment, which is something that we've never put there.
Yeah.
And the coincidences that happen between the circle makers picking up the ideas to do these certain designs, which have we've not been told in advance. We've literally picked up the idea and gone out and done a design that a team or people are asking for, and they're meditating on.
Have you ever done sensory deprivated automatic writing? If
No.
it's something that you know what I mean? If you're
have
getting the idea
tried.
come to you,
I have tried putting a pencil on a piece of paper and trying to clear my mind and seeing if it would write anything, and it was just a line. It didn't really write anything.
Yeah.
But that's about as close as I've come to that.
Just it's interesting that you say that you get the idea from like something else.
Yeah.
So that's what made me think, well, could you do other things? The only thing I would say is like try and do it with like sort of headphones and a blindfold, so you're completely sensory is gone, and see if that makes a difference. As an experiment, it'd be interesting to see if it makes a difference.
I mean, I've been promising myself I was going to dedicate some time to doing remote viewing, and I've never got round to it. But I mean, the experiences I had making crop circles, like say asking for certain things to happen, and they happened. I asked for more time, and our clocks went back an hour, our watches went back an hour, and we had more time. There have been, not all the time, but sometimes I've asked for things and they've happened, and it was in the framework of making a crop circle. I took LSD once as well and made a crop circle, and it was by myself, and the amount of stuff that was going on was crazy. And I know you'd say, well, it was probably fueled by the LSD, but I mean. The amount of things that were going on, things were running through the crop was parting, and it was like I wasn't alone. I was not alone. And I was quite excited by it.
The drugs that alter your brain actually allow you to see reality as it is.
It was like I was just one step away from actually seeing what was making all the kerfuffle, and it felt like I had maybe fairies and spirits around me whilst I was making this.
Hallucinogens was a big part of my expansion, and I've never had a problem with any inebriant. I'm pretty aware, even on my worst drunken nights, which is very rare. When people tell me they don't remember, I don't understand that. I remember everything. I'm aware. There's a lot of times I'm like, oh yeah, I'm explaining this. I am drunk, where you see people just kind of give away. It's almost like they're giving it to the spirits, realistically. I never, even on some of the hardest hallucinogens I've done, I haven't done any ayahuasca. I haven't done anything extreme with mushrooms. I have done acid and things. But even then, I'm pretty aware of everything that's going on. I've never had an experience where I think I'm seeing something and I'm totally lost in that. Even on my experience with DMT, I realized I'm like, oh, I'm seeing this. I'm not in this. I'm perceiving this. And that's what changed it for me to further do. Even when I do certain things, I kind of do a little magic, little rituals in between that, because I feel that's the most I get out of that experience, because I'm thinning that veil of whatever I'm trying to do, and that's the only way I can do it is by doing it through there. So you've done things with on LSD, you're saying?
Oh yeah, I mean I've taken loads of LSD in my time. Yeah, I'm quite a big fan of hallucinogens.
So am I. I'm a microdoser when I get a chance.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, I'm
14
long overdue.
Hours.
An experience, actually. We saw black figures as well. We were talking about the shadow figures earlier on, but I mean, that's something we've seen a few times. I've seen it, and other people have seen it, like a figure. And then I've looked and counted up how many the team members are there, and then that figure's gone. It's kind of like I'm staring at a shadow in front of me, and everyone's shadows. That's the trouble. Is at night, everyone is just a shadow. And I'm kind of like staring at them, and I'm like, oh, okay, so hang on. And then I look back, and it's gone. And I'm,
they move rapid as well. It's almost like they move at a different time rate. Like how a fly moves really
Yeah.
quick, but to the fly, it's really slow. It's almost like these shadow figures, when they actually move, it's like they move like really jolted, or they move really quick. That's what I found anyway.
There's an interesting story about two researchers met these figures that looked like they could have been Pleiadians. They were very, very good looking, wearing sort of like immaculate clothes, and were talking to them on the edge of a crop circle about, what the crop circle was about and what they felt about it. And they went, "Oh, right, okay." And they said, "Well, you're going to go and see the crop circle." And they said, "Yeah, we're going up there now." So they turned around and they looked back, and they were literally halfway up the field, which would have taken them a couple of minutes to walk. And they sort of like turn away, turn back, and they were boom, they'd gone halfway up the field, which they thought was weird. So you get things in and around crop circles that are not necessarily the people who've made them or the weird energies that come after, but you might have other alien species visiting them for the same reasons as we do. Maybe they're fascinated in them too. Or maybe they're the things that are putting the weird energies in, but it attracts people for good reasons, I think, to open their minds as well, which is beneficial. So if you simply look at it from an artistic point of view, which I don't, but if you did, it's kind of an art form which brings people into this subject matter, which is a good thing. And there's aren't many art forms out there, I think, that do that. If you think about it, unless you're into kind of religious art, and you believe that kind of like looking at that picture might get you closer to God or Jesus, that picture of the, religious sort of thing. But I don't know of anything else like it, actually, that causes people to believe it's an actual manifest paranormal spiritual thing, and then people go there and it makes them sort of open up, and I don't think there's enough of that reality, of that type of situation in society, unless you're talking about situations like the Fatima, where people are coming because of an experience, because of a shared experience. There's not enough of that around in society, and crop circles are something that it stays behind. It's not like a transient UFO thing that goes, or a ghost which is there but then it's never there when you want to go and see the ghost. It's not there. It's there for somebody else, but not you. So crop circles give people an opportunity to actually visit something that is there and isn't going anywhere. And I think that is quite an exciting possibility for people that are looking for answers. And it opens people's minds.
Matt, you ran away with the who is most likely to be a werewolf. 62%. 62%, Matt. You ran away with it.
I think you might be a wizard, to be honest with you.
You know what? Incredible conversation tonight, guys. Great discussion. I really, really love this. I love this panel. Great panel. I would love to do this again. If you guys are up for another one, I'm up for it.
We're never going to get off the hook. Okay, I'll come back.
Can I put a suggestion out there?
Yes.
Before if like, let's say you would allow me to come back, or if anyone else comes on here, if everybody beforehand agrees to have a thought, so let's say they think of an object like orange, for example, and to project that thought throughout the live to see if any of the people in the chat will pick up on it,
or one of us on the panel,
or something,
or we could do it likewise. Somebody in the people in the chat, and have whatever
to see if we could pick up on something.
I was thinking of something like
that. It's just an idea to see if you can actually project something out.
That's actually a great idea.
My head.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Okay. Absolutely.
30 minutes ago, I was like, we should do our own Philip experiment, like us. To be honest with you.
So think about it. Think about that, gang. People in the chat, think about it. And we'll organize this and have another. Yes, existence of reality sort of chat. I want to thank everybody for popping in the chat. Like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that like button. Leave your comments. And again, we have memberships. Please join the coven. It helps us in running the show and so on and so on. But thank you to the members that have already signed up to the coven. And we'll be back next Sunday night. Until then, guys, Justin, Matt, James, and Mark, thank you again for joining us. Really
you.
appreciate it. Always enjoy having you guys on. Take care,
for having
everyone.
us.
And
the
stay
best.
stay
Good night,
strange.
guys.
Stay strange.
Yeah. Stay spooky.